Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt and Jack Whitehall go to the Amazon where they want to find a pedal that can cure any disease in the entire world. Doesn't matter if it's cancer or leprosy. But Jesse Plemons is a German general and he wants to get his for his nefarious means. Jungle Cruise, oh. Dwayne's Rockhard Johnson all over the show. And Emily Blunt, oh. They are pursuing this Jungle Stream. And yeah, Jungle Cruise, it is on Disney Plus. It was out in theaters. I just got to it now. I apologize for the delay, but I've had a lot of stuff that I've been doing, like work and other projects. But I was looking forward to this, and I decided, well, I don't have to pay the premium access fee of $29.99 on Disney Plus. I get it, but it's also fucking ridiculous at the same time. So I decided, hey, I enjoyed Red Notice. I enjoyed the vast majority of Dwayne's Rockhard Johnson movies, so why not watch it and, just see what it's like. And I will say that this is basically all the Indiana Jones movies. Yes, even Indiana Jones 4, where everybody got on the floor and did the dinosaur, because it was basically made by goddamn dinosaurs, including Harrison Ford, who I'm amazed survived any of the goddamn stunts he did. And it took the 1999 Mummy movie, the only one out of those three that was any fucking good. Honestly, The Mummy Returns had its potential, and it was also squandered with the PS2 Scorpion King graphics. But it did give us the launch of Dwayne's Rockhard Johnson career, and it's all over the goddamn screen in 3D. Actually, it's not in 3D unless you have a 3D TV. And it's also the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. All those movies, humans have to be together, and a bunch of adventure scenes, and a whole bunch of stuff, and it's fun. It's a lot more fun than I expected. In fact, I wasn't so sure that this was going to be that good because I was a little bit worried about the running time. When I saw 2 hours and 10 minutes, I go, holy shit, that's a long movie for something that's based on a Disney World ride. Now, when you have Dwayne Johnson involved, and you have Emily Blunt involved, and you have the same director that did, get this, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the guy's name, House of Wax, the remake, the 2005 remake, vastly underappreciated, and is on the movie reviews playlist that I have. Orphan, which I should go back and rewatch. Unknown, Nonstop, and The Shallows. He's directed other stuff, but those are the ones that stuck out to me. They're also doing an Orphan prequel, or maybe it's a sequel, or a reboot, or an invasive reboot behind someone's bike shed. I have no goddamn idea. It would actually have to be a prequel, considering what happened at the end of Orphan. Enough about Orphan. This was also written by 3 different people, Michael Green, Glenn Ficarri, and John Requa. Pretty certain I butchered that last name. So yes, you have Frank Wolf, not to be confused with Castle Wolfenstein. Nope, he's not doing it for the Gloria the Kaiser. He's not, my Laban. No, not that. They should do a Wolfenstein movie. No, it is Dwayne Johnson as a cruise, captain. And he's on the Amazon giving cruises to people and everything and just living his life and having to pay money to Paul Giamatti's Nilo character. Paul Giamatti, by the way, offending every goddamn Italian in the world. I know something about offending people with bad singing and bad jokes, and my fucking goodness, did Paul Giamatti just really give up on doing any kind of good Italian voice. Now, I will say, I did appreciate Dwayne's various puns or whatever, toucan wrestling, beak wrestling, but only two can wrestle. And then he's like, I'm sorry, that I'm taking these jokes for granted or whatever. It's like I can't boulder the response. He's doing a whole bunch of bad puns. It's just so goddamn good. Like that was like the best part, like of the early moments. But we are in London, England, 1916 as well, where you have Lily, who's the adventurous Emily Blunt, the gorgeous Emily Blunt. Good grief, she's freaking great. She's great whether it's in comedy, action, adventure, doesn't matter. She's just, a jack of all trades, a jackette of all trades, if you will. She even tried to make A Quiet Place DLC, A Quiet Place Part 2, tolerable. And she barely succeeded. So anyway, this movie, it's basically just pursuing this pedal that's called the Tears of the Moon that can cure any disease in the world. And since it's so fucking hidden because this tribe is like, no, we really don't want this fountain of youth, like thing to get out. We're just going to make it impossible for anybody to get there. Kind of makes sense because, let's be perfectly honest, given how the human race handles basically any, little inconvenience, I don't think we would be able to handle that kind of power. With great power comes great whee! So the plot of this movie, such as it is, Lily and McGregor managed to come into possession of this arrowhead that would lead to, unlocking the temple, not the Legends of the Hidden Temple, but the temple of this tribe, the Tupi tribe. Tupi. Tupi or not Tupi? Probably should have done that. No, moving on from that. That's just gross. We don't do gross stuff here on this channel. If you believe that, you haven't been paying attention at all. But they need a guide, and Frank needs money. So he basically kind of lies his way into getting them to give him money so he can get his engine back, because Nilo, his, guy that's got the, that's lording over him, took his engine and then was going to take his boat, even though he's got all the boats in the goddamn world. And also Jesse Plemons' character, who's Prince Joachim, I think that's how it's pronounced. He wants the pedal for his own nefarious means for the glorious Kaiser. But this is before that, because this is just before World War I. This is 2 years into the Great War. So they end up setting out on an adventure while the prince and his German soldiers, Buffalo soldiers, are doing, okay, I'll stop with the song references, are pursuing them in a German submarine. And from there, they run into various animals and various things, and Lily and Frank are obviously at odds, and then there's a, third act twist that really should shock nobody if they've seen any movies at all. McGregor has to kind of realize that he can be a little bit tougher. What are you, some kind of tough guy? Burly. Anyway, so he has to realize what he can do. And maybe there's a love interest, maybe there's not. There is a Jaguar there. It's Rock versus Jaguar, which would definitely improve the raw ratings. I mean, the raw ratings can't get any worse than they have now. But from there, we get action-adventure stuff, and can Lily trust Frank? Can they get along? And, yeah, it's a lot of action and a lot of, set pieces and special effects and stuff like that. And no, the movie is not necessarily original at all. In fact, I would say this is one of the most cliche-ridden things that I've seen. But, like Red Notice, it's fun. You had Dwayne Johnson, you had Ryan Reynolds, you had Gal Gadot. Sweet Jesus, you had Gal Gadot in it. My goodness. But you had them in it, and with that star power and with just the right amount of self-awareness, you can make a movie fun. That's what they did here. They made the movie fun. That was pretty much it. It was pursuits down the river bend, and a whole bunch of stuff, comedy with the Jaguar and various stuff where people were put in a little bit of danger and then taken right back out of it, and all this wondrous stuff. And then we find out something about Frank a little bit later that I will get into in spoilers in a little bit. But we find out some stuff, and it's like, oh, maybe everybody, has reasons as to why they act the way they do. So that's pretty much it right there. It's on Disney Plus. Go watch it. I mean, come on, it's not that bad. You gotta hunker down, though, because it is about 2 hours. Even if you take the credits out, it is about 2 hours. But let's get into spoilers here in just a little bit. But if you like Rock's movies, you'll enjoy this. And this is coming from me, who apparently hates everything. Spoilers. Okay. So, there's this backstory about these conquistadors that were trying to find, the Tears of the Moon, and they end up getting trapped and dragged and, locked by the river. They can't basically leave the river. They can't get to these petals and everything. They only come out once every, so many years because, they want to keep them trapped. Understandable. Again, human race not able to handle this kind of power. But these conquistadors have a bit of a tie to Frank. It turns out that Frank, a little bit later, ends up getting stabbed because these conquistadors come back to life. And even though Lily and Frank had a bit of an argument, he got stabbed, he fell down, and oh my god, it's like he's dead. And no, he's very much alive. Turns out that he was one of the people that was part of the original expedition. There were these maps that were beautifully done. He was the guy's cartographer. And, I'm glad he didn't have to map the entire Pacific Rim, because that is one high-paying rim job. And let me tell you, I know more. Moving on. He had this tied to this, conquistador, Aguirre, I believe is what, the name is. As good as I can get. I kind of struggle with some foreign names. But as things go on, it becomes obvious that, okay, Frank has lived, 395 some odd years or whatever, and he has seen all this stuff, and he's locked on the river, and he can't really go anywhere, but he wants to use it basically to give himself a rest. Well, obviously, him and Lily end up falling in love. This German guy who, Jesse Plemons plays the role as well as he can. Still, he did better in Antlers, but Antlers, of course, had better writing. This had 3 people writing it. Always a good sign when you got 3 people writing a movie like this. But it meshes well enough, and even though you get like, the one petal gets saved and everything, and oh no, the tree goes dark after they just got brought back to life. They brought it back to life for all of 5 seconds, so good technology there. And then then basically it's like obvious, like Lily ends up saving Frank and bringing him back to life. So obviously the adorable jaguar that's there can have their human with them, and they fall in love, and then they go back to London, and that's all it. Oh, and McGregor ends up, striking while the iron's hot, and he ends up, learning to be a tough guy. What are you, some kind of tough guy? Burley. That's pretty much it. The plot really isn't all that much. The set pieces are nice. It is beautifully shot, and there's some good pulpy action, but the characters aren't necessarily deep, but it's not offensive. Is it the greatest movie? Fuck no, it's not the greatest movie. Paul Giamatti's kind of annoying in it, and not annoying in the good kind of Paul Giamatti way. It's just like he's just there because they needed a short, guy that didn't look, as much like a pygmy, so they wouldn't offend people. I guess they just needed him for a little bit of star power, but it was what it was, and I'm going to give it a B+. It was fine, it was entertaining, and sometimes that's really all you need. So I got a bunch more movies I'm going to try to catch up on here. I'm not going to be able to catch up on every single 2021 release because A, I don't have enough time, at least before 2021's done, but I'm going to try to get at least to 75 movies so I can have a bunch to choose from for the end of the year list, which will be coming up here in a couple weeks. But Jungle Cruise, definitely well worth checking out. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.